Hi, I'm Stephen Van Noy, founder of Clarity Decision Mentoring, and in this video I'm going to give you a very brief overview of what meditation is and how it can be helpful. Now, this is a vast topic. I've got several bookshelves full of books on this. I've been practicing for a little over 25 years, and every day, every time I meditate, I learn something new. This is just going to be a quick introduction that will help you get started on your path of meditating. So the term meditation is used to translate a wide variety of activities from many different cultures around the world. I'm going to focus mostly on the form that I use primarily, and this comes from the Tibetan culture. And the term that is usually translated as meditation from Tibetan is a word called Gom. And Gom generally means simply to become familiar with. So when we're meditating, our goal is to become familiar with our mind. And that includes becoming familiar with our values and our beliefs, our habits, our emotions, what triggers those emotions, how we react to those emotions. So it's really aimed at getting to know ourselves better so that we can begin to shape the way we behave, the beliefs that we actually engage with, the values that we hold, and how we respond to our emotional experiences, to craft a life that is more peaceful and is in better harmony with the world around us. How do we do that? Well, there are many ways of meditating, but the simplest way to get started is to focus on what we call concentration meditation, ways of enhancing our concentration, because that's the foundation for all other aspects of meditation. If you're interested in a how-to, please look for the other videos on my channel. I have brief tutorials on how to sit down and meditate. In this video, I'm going to talk more conceptually about the how, the whys, and the whats. So concentration meditation, it's aimed at helping us to develop an awareness of where our attention is at any given time. Most of us, most of the time, are really kind of running on automatic. Our brains are taking in information from our senses, organizing the world around us, and responding. So the phone rings, I go to answer it, an email comes in, I go to this, I've got a schedule, I've got to get to a meeting, I got to pack in some lunch. Just responding moment to moment to what's going on. And then also spending a considerable amount of time recollecting the past, thinking about past interactions with individuals or experiences, and a lot of time fantasizing about the future. What's going to happen later today? What's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen 10 years in my life? So we're really just sort of caught up in that kind of thinking about everyday life. And of course, that's necessary because all those things, at least most of those things, do need to get done. We all need to take care of ourselves. We need to provide for our families and so forth. Although sometimes we can get trapped in thinking it has to happen a certain way or in a certain time frame. And meditation can help us step out of that. So what we're trying to do is get familiar with the way our minds work from a slightly subjective perspective. We want to step back a little bit and be able to observe what's going on to the mind. And then we can make decisions about how we might want to proceed. If it's going well, then we might want to continue exactly the way we are. Or we might want to make a shift. We might want to, for instance, let go of an obsession. We might find that, say somebody has criticized us earlier in the day, and our mind just keeps going back over and over and over again to that criticism, and we play out different scenarios. We hear the same thing over and over and over again. You know, at some point, that's not really productive. Nothing is positive is happening. We're spending a lot of time in a very uncomfortable, unpleasant state of mind. And we're certainly not setting ourselves up to resolve that conflict. A lot of our obsessive thoughts also are about future events that haven't even happened yet, but we imagine them. Psychologists call this catastrophizing. We might be imagining the worst possible thing is going to happen and be spending a lot of energy focus on that and feeling miserable, feeling scared. And then that affects how we're engaging with the people around us and our world, the way we're doing our work. So what we want to do is develop the ability to notice that we're doing those kinds of things, that we're trapped in those ways of thinking, and be able to redirect our attention to something that would be more beneficial in the moment. Okay? So concentration meditation utilizes some object to focus on. Commonly, that's the breath, the sensation of the breath as it enters and leaves the body. It can also be the sensation of the diaphragm as it rises and lowers with each breath. It can also be an image. The Buddhists will often imagine an image of the Buddha just in their mind's eye and try to hold that image clearly. There are traditions that focus on a candle flame. It's not terribly important what that object is. Certainly you want it to be something that's positive and represents something good in your life, or neutral. Breath is somewhat both. It's essential to being alive. It's certainly very positive, but it doesn't carry a lot of emotional energy with it, or much cognitive energy as well. So we're looking for something that is fairly subtle, because what will happen is our minds will wander off and they'll start to do those kinds of things of engaging in memories or thoughts about the future, or becoming judgmental about whether or not what's going on right now is good or bad or right or wrong. And our job in meditating is to notice that our attention has wandered off and just bring it back to the object. I'm going to say breath in this case, that's a common one. So we just bring it back to our breath. And then we sit quietly, noticing the sensation of the breath entering and leaving the body, and pretty quickly our mind wanders off and it's engaging in these kinds of activities again. Pretty soon we notice that it's happened, we let go of that and bring our attention back to the breath. So notice there are really three things happening. I'm noticing where my focus is, noticing that I'm not paying attention to my breath anymore, but I'm fantasizing about what's going to happen this afternoon when I go into the office. Then I let go of that, which is really often not easy when we're obsessing about things. We just are latched onto them. Let go of that, and then redirect my attention back to my breath. Okay? That is meditating. Oftentimes people get frustrated because they feel like they can't meditate because their mind wanders around. Of course it does. That's the way our mind works. The meditation is letting go of the distractions and redirecting our attention. And I think you can probably see right away that there are many advantages or benefits for being able to do this. I've already discussed the notion of being able to let go of obsessive thoughts. If I'm ruminating about something negative and it's really not benefiting me, it's great to become aware of that and be like, hey, I'm moving my attention over here. Now, in my day-to-day life, I might move my attention over to the job at hand, something that I'm trying to accomplish. I might move it over and start to think about things like generating compassion or patience, other states of mind that would feel much more pleasant and be more beneficial, productive in my day than being stuck there, right? So, this is really, I think, the most important benefit from this kind of meditation is gaining that awareness, building in. What you'll find if you practice this a lot is that this awareness of where your attention is will not happen only when you're meditating, but it will happen throughout the day. You'll start to recognize I'm obsessing. You'll start to recognize I'm ruminating. You'll start to recognize getting frantic over something. I'm caught up in my emotion, and it's really kind of controlling me rather than me being in charge of my life. And that's fantastic. And then you get to be able to choose to move into a different space. And there are many tools to follow up with to help you in that part of it. But fundamentally, if you can't pay attention to and recognize where your mind is, you never know that you're supposed to be employing those tools. You might have them, but if you don't know it's time to use them, they're not doing you much good. All right, so this is a very brief introduction to some of the benefits of meditation, what it is. There's a notion of being aware of where our mind is at, where our attention is focused, and being able to redirect it to something that we choose to direct it to. So both of what it is and how it is, and some of the benefits. So if this sounds interesting to you, I recommend you check out the tutorials on how to meditate, and then other videos in my collection that expand on what meditation can be and how it can be beneficial.